Hey gang, it's been a minute since we saw each other, and I have to say, I love what you're doing with your hair. I had a pretty great summer. And I hope you did too. But now I'm here with my new friend, the Walrus Audio Badwater. So this is Walrus Audio's entry into what I like to call board beaters. Pretty much every time I put a pedal board together for live touring stuff, in-town stuff, session stuff, YouTube stuff, I always have at least 3 elements: an EQ/preamp, a compressor, and a drive of some kind. If you call me for a session or a gig or a tour or whatever, I am not leaving the house without these 3 elements. In the last few years, we've seen a number of attempts to cram these 3 essential tools into one enclosure. Stuff like the Fender Downtown Express, the API Transformer, and the big 3 from Dark Glass, the Atom, the Infinity, and the Photon, and even stuff like the Tech 21 Fly Rig. So the pitch is, instead of wiring an entire pedal board together, you just grab what amounts to a channel strip in one box. And if you use one of those googly headstock tuners I absolutely cannot stand to look at, you don't need to grab a pedal board at all. Conversely, putting a board beater on your board can free up a ton of space by combining all your compulsory elements into a small footprint, leaving more space for the fun stuff. The Badwater combines a semi-parametric EQ, compressor, and drive section into what basically amounts to an easy bake oven for bass tone. But is it good? Should you buy one? Dude, I don't know. Let's look at the buttons. So as I like to do, we are going to follow the path your signal takes through the Badwater, and the first thing it hits is the compressor. So this is based on an optical compressor, which typically doesn't have all the fiddly controls of a FET type compressor, doesn't have ratio, attack, release, all that kind of stuff. Optical compressors automatically react to the signal coming in and tend to be a little smoother and more subtle than the 1176 types. Turn the knob clockwise to get more compression. After the comp comes the drive section, which has the usual suspects of drive level and blend, and a 3-way switch which controls which frequencies end up in the driven signal. Thankfully, Walrus laid it out instinctively with up for more highs and down for more lows. This foot switch here controls the drive section separately. After that comes the EQ section, which is again laid out satisfyingly in lows, low mids, high mids, and highs. Both mids get the semi-parametric treatment with sweepable frequencies that can help you emphasize or minimize parts of your tone that are good or bad, respectively. The low mids can be swept from 500 Hz to 2.4K, and the high mids can be swept from 3.5K all the way up to 7.5K. You get yourself a master volume, which controls the overall level of the pedal, 1/4 inch ins and outs, as one might expect, and an XLR out and ground lift for all of your direct box needs. Okay, let's take it for a spin. Stay tuned after each song that you're about to see, because I will show you exactly how I got each tone. Good luck. So here's the thing about board beaters. If you don't want it to be an absolute knob forest, you're gonna have to make some editorial decisions about what you are gonna have control over. Sticking an optical compressor on something like this is a smart move, since even the legendary LA2A only has 2 knobs. But I don't often put optical compressors on my boards. I almost always select for an 1176 type, which does have a ton of knobs and buttons. So if you're looking for tailored squash or something that lets you Billy Joe Armstrong with your right hand all night long, you are gonna notice some peaks. But if you play with a modicum of decorum, this is classy and smooth. The drive section is solid with a nice character and does a good job of going from subtle grit to full-on distortion, but leave that switch in the down position. I am rarely looking to take low end out of a driven signal, but with the switch all the way down, it sits nicely in the mix and keeps a nice chunk of low end. As far as the EQ, it's nice sounding and transparent, and the sweep on these mids is huge, but I actually wish the low mids went down a little bit lower. Specifically, 250 Hertz is a frequency I find myself cutting a lot, as it has kind of a boxy quality, so I wish the low mids went just a little bit lower. Also, I don't know if I've seen a high mid that sweeps all the way up to 7.5K, which is sort of surprising, but it's nice to have control over a part of your tone that's usually relegated to like a high or a bright switch. The build quality on the Badwater is excellent. It's nice and solid feeling. The flat finish paint looks really classy. The Sadowski type knobs are very satisfying to turn. I also have to spare a moment for the graphics, which is something that Walrus does really, really well. Do not underestimate the effective aesthetics on your pedals, folks. Also, big points for my personal favorite, soft touch relays. Overall, this is a solid entry to the board beater genre and a real feat of engineering, since this has by far the smallest footprint of any of its competitors. If you're ready to move beyond plugging straight into a DI and calling it a day, but not quite ready to fuss with an entire pedal board, consider taking a sip of the Badwater. This has been the Walrus Audio Badwater. I've been Amos. You've been amazing. Take a sip of the Badwater. Bathe in the Badwater. Water your chug this. That's terrible. Water your face. Water. Take a dip in the Badwater. No, that's what's worse.